So I'm currently co-teaching a 10-week course. We're in week 3. I'm going on week 4. It's all about reality creation using Frederick Dodson's pure technique in addition to combining it with human design and other wise practices. And so I'm not the facilitator who's an expert on Frederick Dodson's reality creation, but I am bringing the human design components. And so it's been a really exciting journey of just coming into what does that mean to create your reality. And it just got me thinking about human design and just universal qualities of how we all create our reality. And I feel like the biggest one is what I like to call energy Tetris. And what that means to me is just this ability to say yes and to say no to various aspects of what's in your physical reality. It could also be in your emotional body, in your thoughts, in your mental body. But I think the easiest place to start is in the physical because we can see it. We know it's there. And so, I feel like there's a lot of magnetism for every human design energy type when we start to move our physical reality. And what I mean by that is the spaces that you dwell, the spaces that you inhabit. Where do you live? Where do you sleep? What's your kitchen like? What's your pantry like? What's your tea selection like? What's your wardrobe? What's your bookshelves look like? All these things, and not meaning that you have to get rid of everything and buy brand new stuff, but just taking subtle inventory of what's around you that you love and what's around you that you are not in love with, that doesn't light you up or that just feels stagnant or stuck. And I feel like there's just this wonderful thing that happens when we start to move the physical reality around. It starts to open up channels. It starts to open up energy, right? If we think about the practice of feng shui, it's like all about directing the qi or the energy in a physical space. And so we all get to do that in our own ways. We all have connection to beauty. We're hardwired to look for beauty, to enjoy beauty. And it's unique for each person, right? Like, how do we clear the clutter in our physical spaces and invite in more beauty? And again, it doesn't have to be lavish. It doesn't have to be all brand new stuff. But like maybe it's like wiping off your coffee table and getting a small bouquet of flowers, Maybe it's looking at your bookshelf and taking out what's not in resonance anymore, or giving something to a friend that you're like, wow, like they'd love to read this book, or I feel like this could really serve this person, or, donating the books that you don't use to various places like Salvation Army, or maybe like a spiritual bookstore, or a spiritual center, places like that. So it feels very magnetic and it feels kind of amazing. And this is something I've been witnessing in my own life, is just creating a home and creating a space that feels like something I would love to be in. I haven't always had that personally because I had moved so many times. I think I counted, I moved over like 18 times in my life, and I'm 37 now. So I've always felt kind of ungrounded and displaced. And then, we have I personally have been going through things with self-worth and self-trust, and it's been an ongoing journey, and it's something that I'm learning to embrace and overcome and to love myself deeper. And so when someone loves themselves, their space reflects that. The energy of the spaces that they're in reflects that. How you present yourself reflects that. And so again, for all human design energy types, it's like, how can you align yourself with the version of you that wants to come forward, right? If you're like, you're here and you're not feeling, I'm just going to give an example. If you're like, I want to be a yoga teacher, or I want to be a mother, or, all these different aspirations that one can have. It's like, if your outcome is somewhere in the future, right? If for example, the outcome is I want to be a mother, and that's like ringing true in my heart and spirit, and it's a yes, then what actions can I do today? How can I adjust my space and my energy field to align with that frequency of the archetype of the mother, which is nurturing, service to others, service to love, service to nourishment. Like how can I start doing that today? So there's the physical reality of like the things that you can adjust and maybe donate, get rid of, clean, cleanse, right? Like we can use really beautiful little rituals where we can cleanse and clear our spaces, and get it to where we look around and we feel delighted, we feel joy, we feel the sense of peace or success or acceptance and love for a physical space. And then there's this aspirational quality of like how you do things and what you do in a day. How do you carry yourself for this future embodiment? If your dream is to create a zine, a magazine next year, then you're probably going to be someone who makes time to write this draft, who studies other magazines, who dedicates, at least an hour a week to this creation and this culmination and creating drafts, creating prototypes, creating imagery, collaborating, whatever it might be. It's like getting yourself in the frequency of what you're wanting to create in your reality. And, the same thing with like a yoga, someone who really loves yoga and they want to embody that spirit of like not just body flexibility, but flexibility in heart and spirit, right? So it's like, how does one tune into that? And if that's an aspirational quality, I could say, okay, I'm a yoga teacher now. Or I could say, wow, what does someone do in a day who wants to be this yogi, this person who practices yoga and is very flexible and calm? They're probably not going to be driving around with a really messy car with McDonald's wrappers in it, or like cussing at somebody on the freeway, right? Like it's all about the embodiment of the practice, the being in the energy of what that outcome is, so that you're attracting that outcome to you. So it's not about like reaching and stretching. It's about like getting into that vibration of what you want to become. And I just think it's so cool and so mystical and so wonderful that like we get to choose that, and we're already choosing it unconsciously in many ways, because we're creating our reality through our daily actions, through our daily thoughts, our daily habits, the things that we choose to do in a day, who we speak to, how we speak to, what's distracting us, what's pulling us in, who are our teachers, who are we learning from, like we've discussed before. And it's all a beautiful place to start, especially if we look at the physical world first. So, it doesn't have to be this expensive thing. It can just be small daily actions. What is a small daily action of somebody who strives to be this personality or this type of person who's a yoga teacher, who creates a safe space for people to exist in, to breathe, to close their eyes? They have to be really regulated and grounded. And so if that's the case, it's like, oh, wow. So if I want to be that, then every day I need to show up to my altar of life and really tune into that frequency of what does this kind of person do in a day? They might read books about yoga. They might, of course, they're going to be practicing daily asanas. They're going to be learning about breath work. They're going to be reading Patanjali. They might listen to a certain music. They might listen to certain podcasts. They'll create quietness. They'll create space. They'll be doing this inner work, examining their own triggers and experiences and things like that. So it's a practice and it's a play, as my very dear friend and also boss, Florencia Friedman, says a lot in her cacao blessings. It's like, it's a play, it's a practice. And so how do we create our reality in a playful way without taking it too seriously? And again, just seeing it all as data points of experience, data points of learning, data points of just playing with our reality. And I'm just going to give another small example. Like, I'm someone who really loves working with herbs and making teas and medicinal infusions and things of that nature. And my tea area was just cluttered. Like, it literally looked like a raccoon jumped on my shelf and like just did all the things and messed it all up. And I was like, wow, like this is an area of life I love. And it means a lot to me. And here I am not giving respect to that space. And, I'm not saying, oh, it's perfect and wonderful now, but it looks and feels like something that I love. And I even did some like Pinterest board dreaming of like, what could my tea space look like, my medicinal cabinet? What could that look like? And it started with just mason jars and labeling each tea, or labeling each herb. And then I got like a nice tea kettle with a proper strainer and things of that nature. So it's a process, and it's like, what do you love and how can you make it feel like you love it? Like when you walk by, you're like, whoa, I really love myself because I gave love to this area of life that uplifts me and makes me feel good and fills up my soul and my spirit and my heart. And I'm just excited by it all because I feel like, the season of winter is coming and we're nesting a little bit more, especially those of us in colder climates. But it's like, how do we tune into our spaces and how do we recalibrate? We're always upgrading, we're always evolving, and sometimes we're taking 1,000 steps backwards. I know I do. But it's like, how do we refresh, and how can we be gentle and compassionate with ourselves as we're learning and growing? And so, I'm just really excited, and I hope this serves somebody out there today to remember that affecting your physical reality can point you in the direction of where you want to go. And it's a daily practice. And even in the smallest, like literally the seemingly smallest things that we're saying yes to, that we're saying no to, can change the course of our reality and get us closer to who we want to be in this lifetime and what our next iterations of self are for those of us who are desiring to consciously create this reality. So sending you big hugs, and would love to hear how this landed, and just so excited to continue sharing here on both Substack and YouTube. Bye.